You've got Talk Erie on your radio at 105.9 WZTE, having the crucial conversations that Erie needs. And we're glad to have back on our microphones here no one who is a stranger to these 429 State Street studios. Tina Mengine, she's the president and CEO of the Erie County Redevelopment Authority. Thank you so much, Tina, for taking the time.
Always a pleasure, Joel.
I tell you what, I feel like there's a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. My understanding is the crews are there at 12th, what is it, in Liberty? Or Cherry, at Ironworks Square. And what are they doing? Like, what's going on right now out on 12th Street?
So if anybody has driven by, they'll see they've been working really all through the winter, but taking off the roof.
Oh,
well, what was left of the roof?
Yeah, removing the trees,
removing all the trees. No more trees in the roof.
Yes.
We've been primarily removing the rest of what needed to be removed in terms of demolition, like excess.
Okay.
And sandblasting and coating all of the steel beams.
Oh.
They needed to be cleaned, obviously, sandblasted. Yeah. Some of them will need replaced. So as they're going through this, double checking, we had identified early on what we thought were beams that needed to be replaced.
Who's your GC on this project?
E.E. Austin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been great to work with.
Yeah.
Almost 100% local.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And that's part of our mission is where we can. We want to hire local, put the money back into the community.
But with an old building like that, you almost have to somehow diagnose each beam to its integrity, right?
Yes. So we had engineers from Atlantic Engineering come in. They looked at each beam. Now a few additional ones need to be replaced. But as they're blasting and coating the ones we're keeping, it's stunning. I mean, it's just going to be, I can't say it enough. It's just going to be a really unique, really impressive building.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks great. All the windows have been removed, and it actually looks better without the windows than it did with all the broken, dirty windows. Right. So we're starting to put it back together. We did some infrastructure, water, sewer, things like that. And they're right on track.
Yeah. How much square footage is in that space? And I guess, would you count the offices as separate space or what?
We count all of it together. It's about 78,000 square feet.
Undercover right now. Wow.
Yes. The offices are about 10. They're about 10 to 12.
So maybe a third, 2/3 kind of thing?
Each of in the 4-story building, each of those floors is about 2,000 square feet, give or take.
So a lot more space is that large opening.
Right.
Okay.
So, and that will be a combination of offices, light industrial technology. We refer to that building as Tech Flex, which means it's looking for high tech, high-end advanced technology type of businesses to move in. So we're excited about it. We get a lot of inquiries.
I bet.
We're at a point where we're about ready to start signing leases.
Now the whole west side is wide open, right? Like, or are they going to? I guess are they going to build out from there, or is this the footprint?
This is pretty much the footprint.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole west side will be pretty much windows and glass.
Okay.
And where that little nook is, will be a brewery with outdoor seating. So it's really a mixed-use space.
You already have
We've got 2 breweries we're seriously talking to. Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah. And then we'll have about a 3,000 square foot conference center that'll be available to the public. I envision weddings in there as well as conferences, because it's got so much character. It's got a lot of historic pieces that we're keeping. Yeah. It's I can't wait to be able to do open houses with the public.
And all of the icky stuff underneath has been mitigated, or capped, or whatever.
That's
whatever the
term.
technical term is.
That is a technical term. So the existing building is a cap for what's there.
Okay.
The back wall that kind of holds up prep.
Yeah.
There's some remediation that needs to be done there, and there's a little bit of remediation that will need to be done on the west side where it's open.
Okay.
But in terms of the existing building, that's good to go. Mm-hmm. We've removed all the icky stuff, and that's going to be my new term, Joel.
There you go. Yeah, you use it in
So yeah, it's moving along nicely.
when you're meeting with members of Congress.
Right.
All right. So give me an idea of, for the extra space that's beyond the building, is there room for out parcels, or is it parking? What's the plan? Are you going back to green space? What are you thinking there?
There is room for 100,000 square feet, of, like a single floor.
Oh.
It's actually much large. It's 3 acres that's not got a building on it. The whole property is 5.5 acres.
So you could put up another 100K warehouse.
That's our intent. Not necessarily a warehouse.
But I mean,
yeah.
but for whatever the use requirement is.
So our goal is we'll use it for parking now, but we'll do a build to suit. So when we find the right interested party, we'll build a building for them.
So this is a good place to tell the listener about what the market is like right now, because again, we keep on hearing that we keep missing opportunities for business attraction. And again, I've learned everything I know about economic development from Tina Mengine. So and Laith Wardy. I mean, both of you guys. But like on the attraction side, if we're going to bring in a business or help a local business grow, we have to have the bricks and mortar. We have to have the building ready to go with utilities, with a roof, or an ability to quickly build the suit, right?
Right. So you want shovel-ready property, which means that all the infrastructure is there. All you need to do is, start building up. Or you need, that should be an and, not an or, ready-to-go space that's already built that someone could move right into, because speed to market is critical.
Speed to market.
And that's what we're trying to achieve. We have very little Class A office space and quality industrial space. And quality industrial space means it's got fiber. It's got ceilings that are high enough, right? Not 12-foot ceilings. They got to be 14 or 16 or 20 even.
I mean, you got to be able to park a semi inside the building half the time.
And construct whatever they need to construct.
Yeah.
So this tech flex space, this mixed use here is ready to go. It'll be move-in ready. Someone could move in tomorrow and literally plug in. And the open space of 3 acres will have all the infrastructure and be able to build immediately on it. And that's really important. And it's hard to explain to people, why do you do a tackle brownfield? Mm-hmm. And the brownfield is an icky building. And
exactly.
And it's, it's because it's a drain on the economy or the local economy to have that building sitting there vacant, deteriorating. But you also build on those sites because they already have the infrastructure. There's already water and power going to those sites. Mm-hmm. Now, it may need some upgrades because it's an older facility, but it's a lot easier to get that going quickly than it is to start fresh on a farm where there's no infrastructure. Right.
And we're going to talk about, what's going on at Green Shiggle or whatever. You said right now, as far as Ironworks Square, you're ready to start drawing up some leases.
Yes.
When are you hearing that we might actually see a ribbon cutting?
So my construction team assures me it'll be the first part of 2026, so a year from now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's taken us a while to get to this point. A lot of it was cleanup and remediation of what was there. But from the time we've started construction, we're moving very quickly.
Before we finish on Ironworks Square, please tell me about your federal and state partnerships that got to you to this place.
So projects like these cannot be taken on by the private sector. It's just not cost effective, right? It's not going to pencil out. And that's why redevelopment authorities or economic development organizations exist to be able to tackle these problems. It requires partnerships with the state, local government, and the federal government. And we've been very fortunate to receive a great deal of support from the state and federal
I mean, what kinds of grants or loans did you get?
So we
just for this particular project.
For this particular project, we got a $7 million grant from the state, RACP grant,
RACP, okay.
Capital Assistance Grant. We received a small grant from the state for some cleanup. It's called an ISRP grant. Representative Kelly came in. He was actually the first to come in with a grant from the federal government for $3 million.
Coming from where?
It was an appropriations grant that went through.
So a direct appropriation.
Yes.
That he was able to direct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then we've got several other federal grants. We got an Appalachian Regional Commission grant, actually two of them. One is held up in the federal bureaucracy that's happening right now.
Okay.
And a second HUD grant that is also held up. But we
so we did get the $3 million from Kelly
yes.
already.
Yes.
But you're waiting on two other actual grants.
Yes.
These are not loans.
These are not loans. These are grants.
part of the programming from the federal government.
Right. And then we received some ARC money from the city and from the county. The city was very generous in the beginning because that was a target project for the city. It's like major corridor entering into downtown.
Blight remediation.
Yeah. So they actually gave us the initial dollars to get going.
Okay.
So we've had a lot of partners. We have some loans on the project as well.
Yeah.
You can't do a project like this just with grants, so there's debt. So we are concerned about the couple pending grants because that's about a $5 million impact.
So you're waiting on $5 million from the feds. Your feasibility study at the beginning, what kind of job impact did you think would come from Ironworks Square?
Well, a lot of it's dependent on the tenants,
Sure.
right? So the offices will have, half a dozen each, but the industrial space is really the key. The brewery might have 40.
Wow.
But they're not all part-time.
Right.
So it's a mix. We conservatively have estimated 100 jobs.
100 jobs from
Yes.
the project.
Yes.
Hang on.
I think it'll be more, but
You think it's going to be more, but that's the minimum. All right. Tina Mengine is with us here. We're talking about Erie County Redevelopment Authority and the impact, while we are doing projects of some of this money that's being held up, in addition to some of the cool things that are already happening here. You are tuned to Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We are live here downtown talking to Tina Mengine. Let's do a little pitch for your show on Friday mornings at 9. We get into the nitty-gritty of economic development, right, Tina? The Economic Pulse.
We do, with Laith Wardy, who's the real expert in that field.
Well, you bring a lot of expertise to what is happening around here. And that's what we're kind of going through. Are the projects of the ECRA, and while I've got like 5 minutes before the news break, I want to talk about the efforts on the east side to really get in your partnership with the Minority Community Investment Coalition, to get that Savacchio Opportunity Park going, right? I mean,
after 20 years of it vacant and no activity, it is finally beginning to really show life. The project is complete. We've got seeds in the little pods, and they're growing. And
do we have the fish pooping and providing the fertilizer? Right,
we do, and it's really fascinating.
That is nuts.
It is, but it's so, the technology is so advanced.
Yes,
and we had no appreciation for it when we started this, but they're growing right now. They've hired their first 4 people.
Oh my!
Brought in a new company, Intag, Integrated Agriculture Systems, who's building on that site. So I think in a couple years those 19 acres will be fully operational.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an impressive operation, and I give those guys credit for taking on the challenge and really moving it forward. And not only is it a commercial operation that will eventually sustain their neighborhood operations, it's providing free food to a food desert. It's just, it checks all the boxes.
Well, and plus it was I don't know if it was a Superfund remediation or...
It was I don't know if it was a Superfund, but it was really a toxic site. It was very bad. So we cleaned up a toxic site in a neighborhood.
Yes.
Like directly across from public housing. Brought it back to life, creating jobs, serving the community in a food desert. And I think it will be a catalyst for the whole Buffalo Road corridor revitalization.
That's fantastic. And I really do love what's going on over there. Gary Horton's been, leading conversations with the mayor's office and so on. Again, we're seeing these pockets, and you've been in this business. You've been an observant and participant for so many years. Places that never really were given the time of day.
Yes.
Are now fully engaged in being activated.
They weren't just disinvested in. They were, if there's a level below disinvestment, it's them.
Like, it was neglect.
It was pure neglect. I mean, everything from the sidewalks. I mean, in the streets, they don't get paved as often. Like, there's just no attention given to that area. So when you start putting infrastructure in, buildings and workers and activity, everything else starts to grow up. We did beautiful landscaping there. I mean, it should be the pride of the neighborhood, and it should be a catalyst for more investment. And
they just got some money for sidewalks and things.
Yes.
Yeah, and you got some money for sidewalks too, right?
The state grant that we got for EMI so that we could redo all the sidewalks when that project's done, because obviously they're getting torn up. And then a grant for sidewalks at the Savacchio Opportunity Park, which is really important. One, it's a requirement from the city, but it's important because in that neighborhood, there's a lot of walkers.
There's no doubt.
And you want it to be safe. Downing Road's a busy road.
Sure.
There's train tracks. There's, trucks. And you want safety. You don't want to build and not create safety situations.
I've got 30 seconds before the news, but I want you to weigh in on something that's not your project, and that is out on the west side, the West 8th Corridor, the Gateway. I mean, again, different. It's not your purview because you're commercial and industrial. This is like residential and retail, right?
Right. That's a great project and such an important gateway corridor. If you start at those major intersections, whether it's 12th Street or Downing and 18th or West 8th and Peninsula Drive, if you can shore those up and make those strong and healthy, then everything else flowers out from there.
Yeah. Again, you need those anchors. You need to be able
Yes.
to have like a place to hook in and get some confidence so that you can maybe put your project in or maybe fix your roof on your home. It all trickles down. Tina Mengine is our guest here. Stay with us. It's Talk Erie. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, having the crucial conversations from Fifth and State here at our Kingdom Financial Group studio. Again, it's an Erie-focused radio show. We're talking to one of Erie's finest, Tina Mengine, the president and CEO of Erie County Redevelopment Authority. You get all kinds of accolades on your own show. We're going to give them to you here, too, right? I mean, my goodness. And the best thing, Shani, is that she's a radio person too. So we love it. We love it. We love it. All right. We're talking about, I mean, again, just to keep the cookies on the bottom shelf, there's such things as brown fields and then there's green fields.
Correct.
And out at Steratania 90, we have a big greenfield project. Can you talk about that?
So we had the good fortune of being able to purchase the former green shingle site, 160 acres. It's considered a green field, which means it doesn't have any icky stuff. Right. It's clean and good to go. Now, it does not have any infrastructure, to my point earlier, where city sites have the infrastructure, but it's clean and it's expansive.
Yeah.
You know, when I started this gig in the fall of 2019, we owned 2 small parcels with 27 acres.
It's incredible.
Today, we own and or manage 410 acres.
Wow.
So one of our goals was to, get to 500 acres in 5 years. So we're on track.
Yeah.
So that we could meet those needs that you talked about earlier, Joel. Got to have ready to go sites, ready to go properties.
It seems like almost on a weekly basis, there's requests for proposals from cities and metropolitan areas across the country needing 50 acres, needing 100,000 square feet, 300,000. I mean, you can put 300,000 square feet in a building, right? I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you think about a Walmart distribution center. How big is it? 1 million square feet sometimes.
Yeah, when Amazon was looking at this area, they were talking 1 million square feet
for under one roof.
Under one roof.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that's coming down on the pike. You get a cable, the old-fashioned way, right?
Yeah.
Here, just this just in.
Little telegraph.
Right.
We hope so. We hope that we're building the infrastructure that Erie never had that will allow us to compete.
How did we do it back in the 50s and 60s or even 20s and 30s? I mean, I guess...
Way back when?
Yeah, I guess we had the green space back then.
Yeah.
And we would build out utilities out to it.
I guess. Yeah, that was before my time.
No, I know, but you think about, Mr. Lord started in his garage.
Right.
Probably had a small shop and ended up having a big shop on 12th Street, right? I mean,
right. Yeah.
And you guys still own that at 12th and Green Garden too?
No, we don't own that. That was lost in the Develop Erie bankruptcy.
Oh, it was.
And it was a year or two ago purchased by a local company.
So Finnish Thompson did buy it.
Yes.
Okay, we're just kind of waiting to see what they do with it.
Yes, and I did see some activity.
Good news.
Yeah, on that lot, driving by it. So I don't know specifically what's happening, but it looked like there was some activity finally.
Good. So, okay, here's my, my ADHD on this stuff here. So going back to Steratania.
Yes.
You've got the land, but you're kind of waiting on some federal money that didn't come through this year,
Well,
right?
there was an appropriation request that was put in by the county executive's office for $4 million, which we have used for infrastructure. We needed to deliver public water to that site. That's probably the biggest cost to development of that site. And all appropriations were... none of the appropriations were passed as part of the continuing resolution.
Okay.
So no appropriations this year for anybody. Now, when the budget passes in the fall or for 2026, we hope that we'll be able to reapply.
So is that something that Congressman Kelly or Senators Fetterman or McCormick put in for us?
Yes, you put them in through one or more of your
Of your representatives. Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So they're handling that anyway, and that's how we got the money for Ironworks was
Yes.
through Representative Kelly.
Yes.
Okay. So we're kind of waiting on that. So does that mean pretty much 2026 is kind of dormant for you guys at Greenching, or is there other stuff you can do?
2025 and
I'm sorry, 2025.
yeah. We have an application going into the state for a planning grant for that site. So if we get that, we can at least continue our pre-development work, which we're doing right now with some American Rescue Plan money that we have left over. So we'll keep it moving, but will it move at the speed that any of us like it?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, although now you could use AI to plan out your plots.
Yeah.
Right?
If only it was that easy.
The robots will take over the Greenching. Anyway.
But there's a lot of work
yes.
there. You know, there's stormwater retention issues and laying out the lots. There's the clearing of it. There's a well on the site that we found. So there's a lot of work that can be done before that needs to be done.
Right.
You know,
So
we need to level it off a little bit.
Just keep the ball moving.
We'll keep it moving.
What else are you working on? What's another big...
We've got the site at 16th and French.
Right.
The former Quinty paper company that is in its final stages.
What are you doing with that?
We hope to finish the remediation and to fill in the basements. And then it's under contract right now with Perseus Charter School.
That's right.
So we can get it to a clean place that we're all happy with. We hope that they'll be building an athletic and community center there.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, that'll be a great project for that neighborhood.
This is why you say that you always have to be looking, acquiring, and turning them around, because the demand is there. It's not just for you to have a bunch of sites that you own. Your idea is to get them back on the tax rolls.
Oh, absolutely. And to that point, we actually pay taxes. We don't have to. We don't have to, but we do, because I think it's important.
Yeah.
To support the city and township and county. But yeah, we don't want to hold on to these. We want to roll them over.
Yeah.
You know, we want them in active use.
Mm-hmm. The one I was thinking of was Erie Coke. Okay, so that's kind of another big kahuna for you guys, and also the Port Authority.
Yeah,
right?
it's we're a partner with the Port Authority on that project. DEP is on site still, doing more testing, and I say stay as long as you need to get it right and to be as accurate as possible. We do have a assessment grant from EPA that we will go in and do an assessment later this spring, which is the first step before you can apply for large dollars.
Okay.
So depending on what happens at the EPA level, will kind of determine our timing. But at least we have the funds to keep moving right now, and the state's involved, and it's a big project.
There's a lot, you know, as people dream about that kind of space on the waterfront, there's a lot of things, we can do condos, or we can do this or that. But there is huge demand, or the potential for huge demand and economic impact for commercial use at Erie Coke, right?
Yeah, so the Port Authority is working on a master plan. Last month, I think it was, they did 2 full days of public hearings with different stakeholders.
Just for Erie Coke,
Just for Erie Coke. And that's all being tabulated and put into, some recommendations. There is a lot of course, interest that it has public access, that there's some recreation, that there's some nature is able to, come back.
Kind of reclaim.
But there was a fair amount of interest in commercial and, mixed use. And with 100 acres, you can do a lot.
You can do a lot of different things.
Right. So that you can meet, I think, ideally you can meet everybody's, check off everybody's wish list to some degree.
It wasn't always, or although it's been in that industrial use for pretty much its existence, hasn't it?
Well, Erie Coke's been there since the 1880s, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
prior to that, it was probably commercial fishing or something,
Right.
because that was the industry along the bayfront back then, was commercial fishing.
So interesting.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be shocked to learn, and we will find this through the assessment process, the historical.
Okay.
But I'd be shocked to learn if it was ever truly recreation.
Right. It just says, from shipbuilding to whatever else, right? All right. So those are the big things that you have. And, if anybody else has 50 acres they want to sell Tina, I'm sure she'll talk to you, especially if it's near the interstates.
Near the interstate is the priority, right?
Exactly. All right. So there are multiple different types of programs that the federal government has to spur economic development. I'm thinking about, during the previous Trump administration, we had Ben Carson come from HUD and, gave money to our housing authority, to help out. I mean, just, hand us $1.5 million check and so on. That kind of stuff has always been part and parcel for not only cities, but counties, rural areas, and so on. Right now, though, we're in a moment here where a lot of those either tax credits or programs for economic development, if they're not in jeopardy, they're in limbo. Can you give us a little bit of background?
Well, I think that's the most disconcerting thing for organizations right now is the unknown, right?
Okay.
That there are commitments have been made, awards have been made, and it is typical for these awards to lag behind. Like we invest the money and then get reimbursed, or
right. You need a bridge loan from conventional financing,
right?
Because that this
you
money's
do that
coming
based on that funding coming, right? Based on that written award. If it doesn't come, you're now carrying that loan and that interest, so your costs increase, right? Or you pause a project, or you lay off people. So that's the unknown for a lot of us, most of us. We run numerous programs, as you probably know. We have 6 different agencies that run various programs, from tax-exempt bonds to community development finance, which targets rural and underserved areas, to traditional lending, to real estate development, right? We do all of that.
And just give us, pinpoint a couple of projects that people would know that use some of these programs that you.
So for tax-exempt bond financing, we have the Erie Art Museum used it years ago, Brevillere Village, Montessori School, most recently the Avalon qualified for that because of the mixed use and the low income thresholds and a variety of things. It's not easy to qualify, so it's not used a lot for that reason. But schools, we've done, the Erie School District did a project with tax-exempt bond financing. So that runs through one of our agencies. That program is actually at risk, which we want that development, right? We want new schools for our children. We want the Avalon refurbished into workforce housing, right? Affordable housing. We want these projects to happen because they create jobs, they create stability, they are good for our residents. So when you put these programs at risk or on hold, you put those projects on hold. There's hundreds of workers at the Avalon right now, every day, right? You see them every day, construction workers, the trades, and then the supplies that are coming in and all of that.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, Why would we want to stop that? It's a repayment. It's a bond. Is just
Right.
a great big loan. It's getting repaid.
But you're instilling into the project this uncertainty.
Right. So, new market tax credits are at risk. ECAT, the Center for Arts and Technology.
What used to be a broken down Wayne school is now this beautiful community center.
Right. That's got employees in there. That's got.
United Way moved in there, right?
Yep.
And I think Hammett is in there with a clinic or something.
Yeah,
right?
and nursing schools
Yeah.
operated out of there. Of course, we all know we need more nurses.
Yes.
But that was funded in large part through new market tax credits, which is a tax credit based on the investment you make, right?
Right.
So,
And let me make this statement too: is that there are not only Erie investors, but there are out-of-town investors looking to be able to use new market tax credits to make a bet on Erie.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, so outside cash
Coming
coming
in.
into Erie using a federal program, which benefits the investor, mind you,
Right.
but really benefits us.
We have been very fortunate in the last half a dozen years to see outside investment in Erie in ways we have not seen in a generation. And we don't want to slow that momentum up. It's critically important that we capitalize on this moment that we find ourselves in, where we've got the Avalon is out-of-town investment, the Renaissance is out-of-town investment, the Value Momentum project on State Street was out-of-town investment. We need that to continue. We need to build on that momentum. I think for all of us, honor what's been committed, and we can deal with what happens in the future.
Right.
We
Yeah,
want
if you want to make a left turn next year,
give us forewarning, and
Yeah.
because we don't want to stop the momentum.
Right.
I don't want to put a project on hold. I don't want to say these workers have to, are laid off. None of us want to see any of that. It's not good for Erie's economy in any way. And of course, it's not just Erie, it's happening everywhere. But we can point to real projects and real impact. And I think that for us, we'll figure out how to move forward. But we need the capital that you promised us.
talk about the kinds of loans that you're funding. Is it Enterprise Development Fund? Is that
Yes.
the one that does the loans? Again, you're not loaning to some Joe Schmo. You're loaning to local businesses and enterprises, right?
Yeah, and
to
they-
the tune of $25 million.
So not all of that 25 is
Okay.
in the Enterprise Development Fund. That
Okay.
particular program is run through the federal CDFI program, Certified or Community Development Finance Institute, which is a federal designation. We're the only Erie-based CDFI, although Bridgeway Capital out of Pittsburgh does play in Erie. Those funds that come to us and then are lent back out meet the most stringent requirements of any other loan program. We work with banks and so forth, but they're specifically targeted to rural areas where they don't have a lot of access to capital, or inner city, underserved areas. But again, we don't just hand the money out. It's a loan.
Do you have any of those loans like in Corey or Union City?
We do. We have them in Union City, in Corey, in Wattsburg, Northeast. We have them everywhere.
I didn't think they liked federal money in Corey. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Calm down.
He said it, not me.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, but Girard and Fairview, West County, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Northeast, Harbor Creek.
We have loans in every corner of this county.
And again, real enterprises, real small businesses.
Manufacturers, service industries. The thing
Trump voters, Biden voters.
Yep. We're apolitical.
Right.
One of the things I'm most proud of is that we no longer just do manufacturing loans. We have expanded our repertoire so that our loans cross all industry sectors.
Sweet.
Which is, I think, really important in a community like ours.
So even like hospitality?
Hospitality, yes.
Hotels, restaurants?
Yes.
Wow.
Every industry sector we touch, from the smallest mom and pops to the absolute largest businesses in Erie County we have loans with.
So we want to keep these programs
We want to
going.
keep these programs because these programs create jobs. They stand up your main street. They stand up your industrial base. They stand up your economy, right? So they need loans. Sometimes the bank does not want to lend 100%. Right. We come in.
You're kind of like the
gap financer.
The gap financer, yeah.
We take a second position, and we've I think created or retained 4,400 jobs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it's important work.
We're going to leave it there. Tina Mengine, the president and CEO of the Erie County Redevelopment Authority. Thanks so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joel.